He said, okay. All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the September 17th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting. Call to order and roll call, please.
Basil.
Here.
Bazinowski. Here. Rizzler.
Here.
Washburn.
Here.
Bhatia.
Here.
Meyer.
Here. Okay, now the meeting minutes from the August 20th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the August 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, under discussion, I'm not sure which ones are in this packet. I had emailed Sam earlier today and made a request to amend item number 7, recommendation of the Krishna Grove final plat. The last couple of sentences of that were unclear. So I recommended that prior to the on voice vote, the sentence before that, or before the motion seconded by Rizzler, I wanted that to be amended to read, over with each property sale to the lot owners so that we ensure that those will be managed by the homeowners, those will be owned by the homeowners and managed by the HOA. And that was specific, that change is specific to Krishna not showing the undivided interest of the outlot. And I wanted to make it clear in the motion as well that they were to be an undivided interest transferred to each homeowner. And ultimately, though, the HOA would maintain the open space.
Owned by the,
Owned by the lot, owned by the homeowners, and managed by the HOA.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
I got that email and I changed it in not what's in your packet because that was already out. So they're changed to be when you
In what'll be
approve
the
them.
final minutes.
Correct.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I amend my motion to include the recommendation by trustee Washburn.
okay,
So I do with the second.
okay. So
Times.
we got a motion and a second for the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes, okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the old business, discussion of comprehensive plan transportation element. Sam?
Yeah, one in front of that, Mr. Chair. You might have a old agenda.
Uh-oh,
4216.
4216 Old Green Bay Road, CSM.
I don't have that on my agenda.
Okay, the one that Sam just handed over.
Today's.
Do we have something in, oh, there's something in the packet then too. Oh, boy.
Yeah, he
I picked
just
this up
handed
Monday,
over.
wait a minute.
I think Sam is
This
testing.
is again an old
I know, but let me,
back.
okay.
This is next to Aurora.
Give me a minute, please.
Oh, no, this is not Aurora, this is the other one.
Oh, this is down on the, that,
It's where the sports,
that,
the
I know where it
physical
is, okay.
therapy
Yeah, we
was.
had this one, yeah, okay, all right. Well,
Surprise.
surprise. Why not on the first day? Okay, recommendation of the 4216 Old Green Bay Road Certified Survey Map, CSM 24-02.
Mr. Chair, the village board previously approved this application to create a 2.66 acre lot to create a senior living facility. Due to timing coordination with the hospital system that owns the property, the applicant did not record the CSM within the 12-month limit, and the Register of Deeds would not accept the signed CSM. And so we heard about that late last week. On Monday, we updated the agenda to include this before the statutory deadline. We can amend the agenda more than 24 hours in advance to add this as a last minute so we can get it reapproved just with a more recent date so they can go back to the Register of Deeds and record it. The reason they need to create the lot is they are creating, we consider senior living facilities a commercial, a residential use, but the rest of the property is zoned commercial, which we technically only allow on the second floor of a commercial building. So they need to create a new lot The zoning is already approved for that lot. They just need to record the CSM to create it. And then they can go in, do the renovations, and open their senior living facility. So, just trying to get out of the way here.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion to, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any discussion?
I should have done that before.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just have a
yeah.
comment, but just that I'm happy to see them moving forward. I've been watching that building. We don't have enough senior living in this community, and so I'm very happy for their group that they are able to move this forward. Terrific.
Yeah, this will be on the village board consent agenda next Monday as well.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Okay, now,
Remain calm.
yeah. Recommendation of 1127 Prairie Drive, certified survey map CSM 2507.
Oh, go back one.
Oh, God, discussion of comprehensive plan, transportation element.
It's-
Thank you.
It's the one that you
I
got in
know.
the first place, so it's not
Alright.
like you missed it. So that's a big old wall of text. So if you remember, we handed out homework last month and wanted to get any of your thoughts on it. I'll just do a brief overview here. I know not everybody was here last month, but due to the number of development proposals that have come in front of Plan Commission and off the Brown Road area, east of Pike River and west of Taylor, the amount of public discussion has been a lot. And so staff thought it would be prudent to review the comprehensive plan in order to have overall strategy to hold developers to so avoid roadways not lining up and not contributing to connectivity to the village. I know that Commissioner Basil or Basil?
Basil.
Basil, okay. Austin Powers, sorry. That's a real old reference. Anyway, let's move on. He had suggested that as well, to make sure that we have all these things that are coming in and being connected. So with the overview, we look at the comprehensive plan, suggest removal of proposed roads that don't make any sense anymore, and propose a street layout that meets our current ordinance, subdivision ordinances, block length, et cetera, et cetera. And we have a couple of suggestions of things that would go into a transportation comprehensive plan update that would address the residents' concerns that we have heard, so much as traffic calming, speeds, so on and so forth. This is merely a transportation element. This is not a land use element, but we will go back and say that we still believe that the land use element of, housing and moderate density housing, given where it is, makes sense. So we're defending that point. Okay. So as this area, moderate density residential growth is warranted, as this area would be within decent walking distance or a short bicycle trip. So 1/4 to 3/4 mile from over 500,000 square feet of retail commercial uses, including grocery stores, pharmacies, and Quick Trip is a bodega sort of thing, a convenience store, as well as many job opportunities in the village. So it just makes sense if you want to be able to walk or bike somewhere, it would be kind of around here. All right. So development that would be necessary to complete the infrastructure required or planned in the Vision 2050 transportation plan that we already have has a connection of Oaks Road to Durand Avenue to Braun Road. That's been in kind of the plans for 20 some years. Okay. So you guys, we discussed this and you wanted to move forward, we could bring back a formal proposal within the next couple of months and go through the actual standard public hearing process and so on. So here's the current comprehensive plan for local area 16. As you can see, Oaks Road is planned to connect downwards or southwards to Braun Road and then continue. Biscayne Avenue is set to be a collector going east-west that connect to Oaks Road, as well as there is a sort of connection between Green Ridge and South, which are currently very, very long dead-end streets that don't connect to anything. The practicality of some of these is to be examined. Okay, so suggested deletions. So these are things that we think that no longer work. One is the bridge over the both the Pike River there, as well as the train tracks that's not even like a half mile beyond it. It's just not financially feasible based on the fact that there's no development there, and nothing planned. We would also suggest removal of a roadway through the wetland environmental area right there in the middle of the plan. That's also a suggested public park site, so that doubles up as two birds, one stone. We're also suggesting removal of a connection south of Braun Road. That would just be shifted over because it would be too close to one of the existing exits for the Seasons development. Another of the X's is just stuff that connects into that subdivision that's there, but it goes through existing homeowners or homes, and it just doesn't make sense anymore based on that layout. Recommendations that are remaining consistent, things that we are keeping or suggesting to keep is the Oaks Road connection, Biscayne Avenue, Yates Drive coming down and connecting to the Seasons, as well as some sort of pathway to both connect South Green Ridge and that subdivision that includes Cozy Acres and is that Wander Lane and so on and so forth to the National Avenue. Like, so there's a public road as a part of the Menards Walmart thing. Now, there is some terrain issues there, obviously. So feasibility is a concern. Okay, so new recommendation based on current ordinance requirements. So what I did was basically take our block length ordinances. So blocks can't be any smaller than 200 by 600, and a block can't have an uninterrupted, a cul-de-sac or whatever can't be longer than 1,200 feet. So essentially, you take that and you take our standard lot size for RL, which would be anywhere between 60 and 90 feet wide, and then 120 feet deep. And then you add those up. So you have like 120, 120, and then the roadway. 120, 120, and the roadway. And that's basically the grid that you get. So this would be, we heard about the residents wanting the basic same format and size and scale as their subdivision. Their lots would fit in this. So now they might be a little bit narrower or whatever, but that's up to the developer. This is basically a grid that would fit out if that were to be continued, no matter what. It's not more dense or less. It's just the same grid, same depth of lots. Boop, boop. So, I mean, that's quite a bit of them. But when a developer is going to want to come in and they're not going to want to waste a lot of land. So there's a portion of this that could be converted to stormwater ponds, other kind of features, so on and so forth. But this is just a general sketch. So these are recommended controlled intersections and intersections that should have traffic calming measures installed. So we heard about the concerns about traffic. So we're recommending that these, to prevent cut through traffic, speed through traffic, stuff like that, that these intersections be specially looked at, even if they don't meet the warrants. So whenever you do, each of these proposed developments that we had in this area would require traffic impact analysis. So we would also listen to those. But even above and beyond the warrants, meaning that, okay, this is what the math says, this is the amount of cars that go through. So these are the recommendations for a stop sign or a traffic light or whatever. Above and beyond that, we are suggesting that these be improved to be safer intersections to meet the concerns of the community. So that would either look like a mini roundabout, a standard roundabout, curb extensions, so on and so forth, to make sure that people don't fly through there. And honestly, it would probably create a better neighborhood streetscape as well. So it's really a win-win. The star on the map is for the intersection between Oaks Road and Brown Road, which would be a controlled intersection almost 99% of the time. So we're taking a special look at that one to say that, okay, this should be X, Y, or Z. We also think that a roundabout would work well there because we're not planning on expanding Brown Road to 4 lanes or anything like that. So I think that would be good. And when I'm talking about curb extensions and mini roundabouts up on we like to draw reference from NACDO, which is engineering, North American Council of Traffic Officials. I can't remember, the C is probably council, but them and AASHTO are the leading proponents of basically standardized engineering and design in America. And they tend to focus on some of these sort of small scale stuff. AASHTO is more like interstates and whatnot, but these are a couple of their designs kind of showing you curb extensions and then also planters, as well as a mini roundabout for that both achieve traffic calming and make it easier to walk around, so you're not basically walking in the road for a bigger distance. It also, there's a side benefit of these kind of bump outs prevent people from passing on the right through an intersection, or, otherwise sort of abusing the bigger space of a road in ways that paint cannot. So anyway, that's the run view of the packet that you've already received. So questions, thoughts, discussion. I've been talking for too long. This is about you guys.
Rob, go ahead.
Robin, thank you for all this recommendation. I do have one concern and question. The connection that you show going to Biscayne Avenue, there's a roundabout which goes, and also there's one from Yates Drive down to Brown Road.
Yes.
My recollection, now, that subdivision, those were the residents who were very much opposed to that development, which was a CCM development. Yeah?
Yeah, the 600 unit
Yeah,
development,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. And their main concern was obviously, once we connect to the Biscayne Avenue and the Yates Drive, is going to be heavy traffic and so forth. But with that in background, I recall that when, not from the planning commission, but when that, at the public hearing, when it came to the board, a comment was made to the resident. It was not, I don't think it was a serious comment, but comment was, well, there's a gap, in that land which is not owned by that developer, and so why don't you as a HOA buy the land and make sure that road never gets built? Okay, that I don't think it was a serious comment, but the point was that they were concerned don't to build that road, and so and even otherwise, the developer would build up to the end of the subdivision which they have proposed, which we approved, then it will not be connected to Biscayne Avenue, and according to this proposal, eventually, whenever that happens, it will be built. So one of the thoughts I had is, maybe we should not have that connection, from that last roundabout that you show on what street is there to Biscayne Avenue, and instead show that connection on the one which is below, which goes to the Yates Drive, so that takes away that concern. That's just my thought and my recommendation. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of room for
Nancy.
suggestions, improvements.
Nancy,
Uh,
what I'm saying is, instead of this, just make sure this one. That was the concern. And this land is not going to be, so the comment was made that, why don't you buy HOA? If you buy this land, this road would never be built, which again, I don't think that's a serious comment, but the point was that the CCM development kind of stops here, and then this land is owned by somebody, and so we cannot build that road unless,
The Kramers.
Yeah.
The property owner, and
Yeah.
in between is the Kramers.
yeah. So what I'm kind of thinking is, I like everything else, what I'm kind of thinking is, if we don't show this, then that connection can be just from here, and then it alleviates those concerns. That's
Sure,
my
so with the Biscayne Avenue and Oates Road, those have been on the master plan for over 20 years. And because Oaks Road is on the Vision 2050 sewer pack, like regional plan, so obviously that's gonna stay. That you weren't mentioning it. You're talking about Biscayne. That's a collector, and so it's gotta come from somewhere. I think there should be a direct route. If it kind of bounces or jogs, or there's other kind of traffic calming measures, I think it could achieve the same thing without disconnecting the route. As far as the Kramer property being like not up for sale anytime soon, I agree. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
But a layout like this would basically have the best connections if there were ever missing pieces. So if that piece doesn't go through, you would still be able to go south out to Brown Road. And then Oaks Road would still be able to go south, and then those connections would be there, in case either the Kramers decide to sell or want the road for their own usage or something like that. So that's all hypothetical, but the plan is basically, okay, what best makes this work? We feel that traffic calming and roundabouts would alleviate the concern for cut-throughs dramatically.
Mr. Chair, could I weigh in for a second?
Yes.
I just want to provide a little context. First, the Kramer is actually further west. This is the Wilkes farm that we're talking about.
Oh,
So the Kramer is between where Bear has got their zoning and Cardinal got their zoning. I hear what Trustee Bhatia is saying regarding Biscayne, and we certainly heard that feedback in a lot of those public hearings. However, I also want to acknowledge that those property owners bought those lots knowing that that was a collector street at the time the subdivision was platted. Biscayne is an 80-foot right-of-way, so it is currently built as a collector street, and it widens out to a 100-foot boulevard as it approaches 31. So those property owners, whether they knew it or not as part of their home buying process, did buy a property fronting a street that was planned to be a collector street. So that's why we're trying to balance their concerns about traffic speed, which we certainly have a lot of empathy for, while still acknowledging that Biscayne is, from its conception, has been planned to be a collector between there. And what makes that particularly important is State Trunk Highway 31 in this area is a fully limited access highway. And so you can not have more connections to 31 until you get all the way south to Braun. So this being an existing connection places it in importance a little bit above what we would consider standard. And if you don't have that internal connectivity, then you are pushing all of that traffic south to Braun to go to those intersections, and it puts stress on the rest of the traffic system, while underutilizing what was built as a collector intersection. So that's why you hear Robin saying we're trying to balance. We get it. We don't want people speeding there too. There's bus stops, school bus stops, all that kind of stuff through there. We have every ounce of empathy for that. We want to slow traffic through there as much as possible. But just removing that connection causes downstream effects that that neighborhood might not have to think of, but everyone south and west of them would have to think of. So that's why we're trying to balance it there. And that's why you see Robin pushing towards things like roundabouts or bump outs or things like that, because we think we can do both at the same time. Hopefully that helps.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I appreciate those comments, and again, I was bringing out my recollection from those public hearing was they were very strong opposition, and like, it's hypothetical, but once it's in the plan, then down the road, 10, 15 years from now, or 20 years from now, people are gonna say, it's in the plan, so we have to build it, but at the least, maybe we're connect to the Biscayne Road, and I'm just making a suggestion, at the least, maybe, we can propose a stop sign or something, so that if the people are coming from, maybe four-way stops or something like that, then it will slow the traffic. I'm just kind of thinking out loud how to alleviate their concern about the traffic and also have that connection, I agree with your comments, Sam.
Yeah, but putting stop signs into it is kind of a different analysis, because that's why I brought up warrants, as far as stop signs have a specific thing with the FWM the facilities design manual, FDM, for Wisconsin, saying, okay, in order to put a four-way stop, we need to check all these boxes. We're saying we should probably put like a mini roundabout or these curb bump outs in, even if it doesn't meet those. Because a lot of times we get people asking for four-way stops in the village with existing intersections, and it doesn't meet the design requirements, so we don't put them in. This way we can kind of say, hey, we would like this to be a slower street, even before it's come in, so it's always, that's baked into the process. So we don't have to build a street that's too big, too fast, and then people get hurt and then start complaining because it's bad. We're trying to meet that from the front end. So yeah, that's what, a stop sign can help, but it is more restrictive based on engineering standards. I think if that explains it right.
I was just thinking of slowing, so that the existing subdivision, when people enter in and out of this proposed connection, is a stop sign or maybe another roundabout there, because you do have one roundabout down to the Yates Avenue. So just food for thought.
Oh, we have, for Biscayne, we had 3, so I'm proposing 3 of them. And then the reason why sometimes roundabouts are better for traffic calming than stop signs is because people can run through stop signs. They can blow through them, they cannot see them. It's kind of hard to miss a roundabout. And if you don't miss it, then your car is going to slow down really quickly, really fast. So, yeah.
I guess, Ram, in kind of feedback to your comments, so I was, I've been working in the village, and I remember when this was built, and I remember when it was designed, and I within that subdivision. And what I look at more of is also the fact that you now have a fully complete subdivision that right now only has one access on 31. I would hazard a guess that as some of these internal other new roadways are built, you're gonna find that the people in the subdivision, whether they're built tomorrow or 10 years from now, are gonna be glad for those connections, because they're not gonna wanna all go out to Green Bay Road and hit Green Bay and Brown Road or Green Bay and Highway 11, which is already hard to get to. They're gonna wanna use that internal system, number one. Number two, police and fire. Right now, there's only one way in and one way out. So we need to give them, we need to give all of this neighborhood with the population it's gonna get lots of options. And I think that the mini roundabouts and the extra concrete on the intersections is gonna be very helpful to that. And I think with the development intensity over there, should a subdivision that is not on the Wilkes property come in, I think we have to show the Biscayne access if they want to wind it down. And you can see from the grid system that there will potentially be roadways going east and west over to Yates Road anyway. So I support the transportation element as it's shown, and don't think that we should remove any of the connections at this time.
I think, sorry to interject, one more important note is that today we're not asking to move this forward to a formal public hearing. We just kind of want your general blessing. We'll take this and go reach out to both developers. We wanted you the first chance to kind of noodle on it as the Plan Commission. So if you're generally good with this, we'll certainly take whatever remaining comments you have to the developers who have proposed stuff, as well as the adjacent neighborhood, to kind of show them areas that might be of specific interest to them. So we're going to do additional feedback beyond this before we start the formal process.
Yeah, the other cool thing is that I'm sure that neighborhood would really like to have their trips to Menards kind of go through something like this, where they could even take a cargo bike or a nice pleasant drive, as opposed to going all the way up through 31, through the 3111 intersection, which everybody hates.
They're scared of the traffic right now, like it's gonna be overwhelming, and I understand that. I do understand that and have empathy for that. But I think that overall, as time goes on, it will be a very, very effective connection point.
one comment I'd like to make is regarding the continuation of Oaks Road. Just looking at the surrounding and what it connects to when it connects to Green Bay, and as it goes up to 11, I would almost coin this as a super collector, in that this is going to receive a lot of cut-through traffic, in my opinion. And I'm no traffic engineer, but look at where it's going compared to going up 31, up to the stoplight at 11 and going west. So it's a straight shot, and without a lot of interruption. So I would suggest that we limit the number of driveways that open directly onto Oaks Road, like to 0. Given the semi-traffic that I would anticipate there in the general level of traffic, I think having driveways that lead from single-family homes directly onto Oaks would be a mistake. And I would like to see a different overall concept for the property that's being considered for where that Oaks extension is going to be.
We can definitely put that in the recommendations, either through alley-served entrances and exits, or just not having properties face that road. But I agree with your assessment of how busy that Oaks Road connection is going to be. As a matter of fact, when talking about the improvements to 31, I suggested completion of Oaks Road as a way to alleviate traffic volumes on 31. WisDOT did not believe me. Or it just didn't say the modeling didn't show it, which I believe them on that. I just think people reroute based on how easy things are. So we want to be careful not to overbuild it to make it too easy of a cut through that everybody's speeding down it. Yeah, but it is going to have truck traffic and business traffic and people coming down from 20. I mean, people take Oaks from 20 to get to 11 easy right now as it is. So
I have a couple of comments, if anybody else, before I start up? Okay. It is in regards to the Oaks Road, and your point is well taken in regards to the traffic, because I'm very concerned. We've got a cement plant there. And bringing that down through south, is there a way for us to limit that traffic going south of there, that make them go out to 11? Because that gets pretty heavily traveled. If they're going to be going through a residential area with, like I said, all the stone and sand and then eventually the cement trucks, I mean, there's a lot of traffic.
If you look at Willow right now, between
Yeah.
Brown and 11,
Yeah,
not one driveway is on Willow.
yeah, and it's a good point.
Give it up, just give it to the traffic, and don't try to put homes on it,
Yeah,
is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And allow it to be what it's going to be, and don't try to reroute trucks this way or that way. To say, okay, this is a very busy street, and we're not going to open homes directly onto it.
yeah, because you only affect one side, right? Because is there any development that's going to be west of there at all?
That's the river.
there is potential residential development to the west.
Okay.
But what form that takes
Okay,
is still under concern.
all right. And then my last comment is opening up Cozy Acre to the south. That road is awful. I don't care whether you're going north or south off of Cozy Acre onto Highway 11 to try to get across there. You open that up, there's going to be we've got to do something at Highway 11 for them.
I mean, if you had this layout, you could close that entrance theoretically.
Well, but right now you're showing it as an opening,
Oh, well, so that if Cozy through that neighborhood would connect to National, like basically in the development with Walmart and so on and so forth. If that was there, you could.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Cozy Acres was connected to those other streets, it would have other ways to get out instead of having to cross 11 like it does, and it's very dangerous. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But I think the solution is more connections, so that one can either be closed or cut down in usage. I don't think. I mean, everybody has the same kind of thoughts when trying to do that. I don't think anybody would want to take that unprotected left turn as a shortcut. It's miserable.
Well, it's not even a shortcut, just,
Yeah.
they're going to get used to trying to get out of there instead of having to go, south or east,
Yeah, I
They're
think
gonna-
that might be an opportunity where we could coordinate with the DOT for right in, right out access there.
Yeah.
Once those streets were connected through, we should make that a note on the map, so you know, we don't want to limit their access while it's the only one that they have, but when they have additional ones, they might want to go out in a more protected way.
If they want to go west, go find
Yeah.
the easier way, yeah.
Yeah, connecting through to National
Okay.
and going through the commercial area would get you to
That's a good
Oaks.
idea,
Right.
Yeah,
that
I like
in
that. Thank you for that
Yeah.
input.
yeah. Okay, okay. I guess it's just discussion, right? So we have nothing to, you guys are gonna come back to us with a plan with
Yeah.
some of our comments and.
It seems like we're all generally on the same page, and we're looking forward to going forward with that, talking with the developers and the neighbors, and coming out with something that makes sense for everybody. So, thank you for your input. It was great. I call this little experiment and homework a success, and so it probably won't be the last time you see it. Thanks very much.
Great, thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna get this right, I think. Recommendation of 1127 Prairie Drive, Certified Survey Map, CSM 25-07.
All right, Mr. Chair. On the start, sorry, it says Independence Road. It
I
should
know.
say Prairie Drive
I
at
know,
the
I
very
got that
top.
crossed out on mine already.
Yeah, thank you. The applicant applied to divide the property into 4 lots to allow a split in ownership of the individual buildings. The map provides access to lots 3 and 4, which do not have frontage along public roadway via cross-access easements, which the applicant provided and we put in your packet. The village staff recommends that the Plan Commission move to recommend approval of CSM 2507, subject to the condition within the endnotes. And those are 3 conditions for the map split. One, and we've shared this with the applicant as well, but 1, the subdivider shall construct a concrete sidewalk or asphalt path along their side of Prairie Drive. That's just that short stretch there. Number 2, the subdivider shall install a public street lamp at the intersection of the public street and the commercial driveway. And then number 3, they are required to plant the street trees 1 per every 50 feet along the Prairie Drive frontage, which when I did the math, I think is maybe 2, if not 1. And there are also some existing ones pretty close to the right-of-way as well that might count too. So we'll go through that with them, but that is the final condition. Pretty straightforward.
Okay. Any questions at this point?
No question, but I do have a comment. Sam, recently we had a conversation or discussion about with all the new development having a sidewalk where they butt against the old one where there's no sidewalk. And so this one also, I see that one of the conditions is, number 1 condition is that the developer will have one side or the other, sidewalk. So my question is, the residents, at least in the subdivision that I live in, and I think they're gonna come to the Public Works Committee anyway. So do those conditions belong here to have the sidewalks grind to the ground, or does that go to the Public Works Committee? For the new, or can you put that in the condition? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because the sidewalks come, and the older houses, they don't have sidewalks, so then it comes to their driveway or their front lawn, and people have come to me, at least in my subdivision, saying, especially young moms with their strollers or their baby, then they say, okay, now we are here. So why can't you grind that thing to the ground? And I talked to Sam, and I think he's going to go to the Public Works Committee. So my question is, I see the comments here. Would it be the right place to add that comment, grind that for developer, or does that have to go back to the Public Works Committee and follow the process?
I think
I
for
don't know where it's
a general policy, Public Works is probably a good place to have that discussion. I think in this individual circumstance, let me reread the condition, but I believe,
I could be wrong, but I think right now, our subdivision, the next phase, and
yeah, it just
Nancy
says,
or your Foxconn, I think
there's a bunch
those
of
are the
them.
only one, I think mainly.
There's-
the construction of sidewalks and paths shall be in accordance with plans and specifications approved by the Public Works Director. So I think if Tony thinks it warrants that they should have to connect into the street, there are additional ADA concerns he'll have to take a look at, grades and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think that gives us enough coverage where if Tony feels like
Okay.
those connections are needed, he can require them. If not, then he doesn't have to require them.
Okay, thank you.
I think, if I could make a comment to that, Ram, I think what I was concerned with in those situations where we're forcing a sidewalk that is an infill site or abutting an existing site where it's dying into nobody, in order to alleviate the walkers walking onto people's property that they have to maintain, that we make sure at those ends that they die into the road and have their ADA ramps and so forth die down to the road. Is that part of
Yeah.
what you're recommending through Public
That's what,
Works?
yeah.
Yeah, I think for a more cumulative policy on those kind of interim
Yeah, that's exactly.
conditions. Yep. And I talked to Administrator Simons about that as well, so she's aware that, and advocates for the same thing. So I think we can get a policy in place, but for the meantime, this condition has enough coverage that Tony can take a look at it and see what he thinks is required.
Okay, fair enough.
Anybody else? I guess the only comment I have at this point is that it looks like it's gonna be divided into 4 lots. There's currently 3 buildings, so I'm gonna make the assumption that the applicant is going to be selling that parcel, the 4th empty parcel, and then having another business put onto that.
The sale is actually for one of the existing buildings, to my understanding, but someone and non-accessory parking is part of the C3 district, so the standalone parking lot is an allowable use. However, if someone did want to come and build a new property or a new building on that lot, they totally could.
Okay, because I think one of the things, I drove out there and walked it, and it's connected very well back there. I didn't realize that the maze of roads that are connected, and if somebody does build on that property, there's gonna be a disconnect.
Yeah, I think.
So that's why I'm asking that question, is to, at some point, then Linderman gets cut off from there.
Yeah, we would have to look at the interconnectivity and site plans to make sure that we maintain some level of connectivity through easements to the existing uses, as well as, we recommended to the applicant, these are all separate ownership. Honestly, a condo plat would probably, for a commercial condo, would solve a lot of those problems, but would also require the coordination of a lot of the different owners out there. So we think that might be a good long-term solution to better help maintain shared parking areas and things like that. But for the meantime, we don't have a issue with this as it's presented.
Okay. I guess if there's no other comments from the public at all, nothing? Do you have- Absolutely. Your name and address, please? Certainly.
Evan Ditmar, 6781 Bobolink Drive, Caledonia, Wisconsin. Just looking to get a little bit of clarification on the sidewalks. I understand what you guys are saying, but I'm also envisioning it's starting at nothing and going to nothing, right? So will Caliber Collision, they don't have any sidewalk, and then the apartments to the north also don't have any sidewalks or lights, and then on the west side of Prairie is the hotel in Melly. They don't have any sidewalks. So like, in what world is that those sidewalks ever going to be connected to anything? Would those buildings have to get knocked down and then someone have to come in and build something new? Then they'd be forced to install sidewalks, or like what is? That's what I'm trying to figure out, I guess.
Go ahead, Sam, please. I'm not
This is
answering.
I know, this is your thing, Joe. Don't even go there that you're not
Yeah,
answering it.
no,
'Cause I
I-
agree completely with the
Well,
young
no,
man, and
I
I
do
don't
too.
think they should be required at all.
Well,
Well, as always, our argument is if you don't start somewhere, then we'll never do it. I think there's a couple triggering mechanisms. Yes, it could be the reconstruction of the lots to the south, but it also could be the reconstruction of the street. We also collect funds through the In Lieu of program, where we can make those connections from a municipal level, where we're collecting in fees and then could build them in. We've also installed sidewalks through tax incremental financing when those districts come up to make those connections. So I think it's a good one. This is triggered by a land division, so technically you all have the ability to waive that condition as a plan commission in this specific circumstance if you'd like to. We are always just hesitant at recommending that from the staff level, A, because it's required by the ordinance, and B, we just want you to think through it thoroughly. Like, if you're just going to waive it every time, then we should have a bigger discussion. Yeah, there's also special assessment. The village could theoretically go in and build the sidewalk and specially assess it to the adjacent commercial properties, which happens in many communities throughout the state. We just don't do it that frequently. So it's a matter of village board priorities, public works committee priorities, if we have funds from a variety of different sources, when that sidewalk could go in. So I think the question is, do you take it now? Those sidewalks could last 50, I've seen ones upwards of 70 years old once they go in. And then that's just less that the village has to build in when those do get connected in, or do you just not do it now and essentially kick the can down the road to a later date?
Well, is this something where we could collect in lieu of fees at all?
We don't currently have an in lieu of fee program for roads on an urban cross-section. However, this is not the first time we've had this conversation this year, so we're talking about it internally. I just don't have a good policy to bring forward to you right now.
Yeah, because at least then you're not having to, install it, but they could be paying for it, basically towards it, and then we can use it for someplace else where it's more needed.
Yeah, and I expect many people would choose that path if we allowed it. So we're thinking about it. We just don't have it in this circumstance right now.
And I'm with Nancy here. I mean, obviously, and the gentleman here, because it's a sidewalk to nowhere at this point, and it doesn't make sense, and I'd like to see us waive it, actually.
Yeah, that's up to you guys.
I think one of the reasons that I know this area, I spend a lot of time in this area of the community on a regular basis. And I see, I've been to Melly a million times, right, and the hotel's right there. But the question I ask, one of the tests that I put to this is, if I'm walking on Prairie Drive to get back to wherever, in the other units that are back there, and I'm walking on the street all the way up to where this now, because of the land division, has a short sidewalk, am I really gonna go off the road, onto the sidewalk, go 120 or 50, 300 feet, and then go back onto the road? I'm just gonna stay on the road. So in that regard, I would be in favor of waiving it for this project, because I think that should the village decide in the future that Prairie Drive is busy enough that it, warrants sidewalk, then that would be added to their property as a special assessment, just like everybody else's along there. No one's gonna do it voluntarily. So in my mind, waiving it now is kicking the can down the road. Is that the appropriate? I don't wanna kick a cat, but I'll kick a can.
Kick the can, yeah.
And I think it is, but I don't think it's warranted at this time. And I see no reason why. Development is expensive enough. We're talking about roundabouts now in subdivisions. Those are expensive to build. They chew up a lot of land. Their long-term maintenance is great for the village, but the upfront costs. So in my mind, I would support, as I said before, I would support waiving it and don't have a problem with it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ron?
Yeah, I'd like to add the comment, except I think, like trustee Washburn said, and the gentleman said, because of the size of this development and in the overall picture of the Prairie, it makes the sense to have no sidewalk and a sidewalk and no sidewalk. So I would also to favor not to start a new trend, but on a case-by-case basis, this one to waive that, but I will not use the word kicking the can. I don't think we are kicking the can. I think exception based on case-by-case basis. There's a big difference.
Okay,
Okay.
you're right.
Okay.
I never want to kick the can.
Mr. Chairman, I don't necessarily agree with Nancy on some things, but this one I think she's got right. Yeah, it's,
Mr. Whistler,
you know,
I appreciate that.
I also, I don't know if y'all know it, but I am on the Public Works Committee too. And I think we, on that committee, would have some problem with, a sidewalk to nowhere. But,
It's a reasonable discussion, and I appreciate your support.
See, Nancy?
We need a smaller screen
To
here.
make sure that like something like that happens is that we either work on in lieu of fee or that there's like support or some other method of getting it done, like that willingness to do a special assessment or whatnot. To make, so it's like, if it doesn't make sense, but there should be a sidewalk there generally, go all the way and not just, because we don't want to excuse some projects from this requirement, from any monetary part of this requirement, and then put it on other ones, because that weakens our position when we do this.
Well, and I think, I understand your point, and I think that, you know, there are waivers of notice that are applied to water main extensions. If you don't have water and you have wells and you wanna, you are building a subdivision where the water's not available, Frank, if you'll remember Wooded Ridge, we did that. So if we can create a waiver of notice type of a document that goes to the developer, and that waiver is part of their developer's agreement, and then it goes on title to the property, and it's a waiver of notice, an imposition of public hearing, so that in the event that area gets assessed, they can't fight it. It's on record and on title that you've agreed that you're gonna put it off until such time as the village mandates it for the whole area. It wouldn't be just you, it would be a larger connection. And those are very easy to put together, and they go on title, and they can be very successful long-term,
I like that approach, I think.
so.
Easy enough. We can draw up some of those policies and bring them back as part of a separate discussion.
Sounds good.
Okay,
So in that regard, I would make a motion to approve the certified survey map CSM 2507 for 1127 Prairie Drive, subject to the conditions that were presented by staff, except that we are willing to waive the requirement for sidewalk at this time.
Second.
okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes, okay. Alrighty. We got no staff reports, so I need a nice motion then.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're out of here. Thank
Ron,
you.
You're
not
on
even
time.